Welcome to the stream, everybody. This is Live Free or Die Barred. I'm your host, Jinx, and we are on episode 3, which we're going to be dealing with maps today. So welcome back. If you have seen streams before, welcome to new people. This is a family-friendly, novice-appropriate stream for those of you who want to build Dungeons & Dragons games. We're using 5th edition, and we're building one from scratch. We're putting all our notes up on Obsidian portal. I can show you the web address where that's going to be. There's the web address there. livefreeordiebarred.obsidianportal.com. You can go there. We're going to put all of our notes up so that you can play along at home if you want to. Or you can take a look at what we've done, make suggestions in the comment section of the site. If you have other suggestions, feel free to put them in the chat. Sorry about my voice this week. I was ill and I'm in recovery, so maybe some coughs and whatnot. But if you have trouble hearing me, let me know in the chat. I'll boost the volume a bit. Let's take that off. Okay. So, where are we so far? The stream itself, we're going to be making everything from scratch. So there is a spoiler warning for those of you who intend to be players in this kind of campaign later on. You may see some stuff during the course of these episodes that will give away some of the secrets, but we want all the GMs and DMs to know how to make a campaign, so we want all the notes to be exposed and available. Here's what we have done so far on OP. Obsidian Portal, for those of you who don't know, who are new, is a campaign management website. It's been around for about a dozen years, and it has hundreds of thousands of people's worlds and stories on it. If you would like to go there, you can create a free account, or you can subscribe and help support the account or the website, so that we can continue to protect and preserve all those worlds and many more worlds to come. We'd appreciate your help there. Also, you can give us support on the stream. We are at the affiliate level status on Twitch, which means that we should be able to have subscribers soon. So if you are interested in doing that and have some free subscription stuff hanging around ready to roll, we would appreciate your support there too. Okay. So, what we've done so far is a recap. This is episode 3. Episode 1, we did concepts and themes. This is Live Free or Die Barred. It's primarily a game set in a musical fantasy world. The subtitle is A Song of Dice and Liars. We're doing funny musical puns and lots of amusing stuff like that is our basic theme. We're keeping all of our notes down here on our wiki. So if you are on the site, you can go down to Loose Notes. And this is where we have our basic ideas, which we will edit as we go. Keep everything on here. I'm trying not to do any work off of stream so that you can see everything pretty much from scratch. The stuff that I do off stream will be minor and tedious and won't affect too much of anything. Okay. Our campaign concepts and themes, musical adventuring. An all-bard party is an option. However, there are lots of other ways to do it. You could have the general idea is that you're going to have a group of people who are getting together to do quests related to music. So bards are helpful but not required. You could also have roadies. You could have support people who do things that will help them on their musical adventures. Eventually, our end game is going to be an epic battle of the bands, which our party of intrepid heroes will have to gain entry to. We're also going to have some musical dueling, which we will figure out some homebrew rules for that later on. We figured out a basic history. You can read about that. It basically follows musical history of the real world. We've got some places and people idea names. I did want to add one here. We're going to do a couple of updates before we get started on maps. So if you want to edit a page, you go up to the little edit icon, which is a pencil and paper in the top left. Down here, I'm going to add a user suggestion, which was I may be spelling this incorrectly. Kievan, the Duke of Bakon, who will be a footloose man. And we're going to go down here and save our update, and you'll see that our new idea has popped up in our notes. That's basically all there is to it with Obsidian Portal. It's your basic word processing interface. It's got wiki links. We'll show you a few of those as we go. So that was episode 1. Episode 2, after we thought about our concepts, we thought about our players. We made some sample players so that you can get an idea of how to do that. You can watch that episode on our YouTube channel. It should be posting today. The YouTube stuff will go up about a week after the Twitch stuff, so you can take a look there. So here's our player character archetypes. We have Alice the actor, who's talkative and enjoys role-playing. Eddie the escapist, who's really in the game to have fun and feel powerful and get away from his 9-to-5 job. We have Ezra the explorer, who enjoys digging around your world, looking around and finding lots of cool stuff. We have Norbert the noob, who is completely new to gaming and will need lots of assistance and confidence building and some training. Polly the power gamer, who might be a rules lawyer or a lover of statistics, but will generally try and make a really cool character that uses as many rules as they can find. And you have Wanda the world builder, who is your writer / artist, crafter, who's going to add things to your world. These are the general archetypes that we want to keep in mind when we're building our world and writing our adventures, because they're the ones who we're going to design things specifically for them. There are other archetypes out there. We may add them as we go. Feel free to put some more ideas in the chat. We had a few last time, for those of you who were here, and we will add to that. We also have some non-player characters we've started already. We have the Killer Queen is our monarch of the realm. She has taken over from the Dancing Queen, which I'd actually like to add a character. So if you want to add a character in OP, you go up to the little plus sign up here in the top right in the character section. I'm going to come down here and we're going to do the Dancing Queen. This was the previous monarch. We're going to leave her also as a neutral figure for now because we don't know. You press tab, by the way, to add that in there. We can do a quick description. The deposed Queen of the Realm. We're not going to give her a character sheet right now, but you could do that here with your dynamic style sheets. This is your description. Again, this is for all of your statistics later on. We don't need that quite yet for our biography, though. We're going to put she's only 17. And just for those of you who haven't seen this before, you can add wiki links and things like that, embed images. This is the GM only section if you need GM only notes. We're not going to use that so much in this campaign because we want everybody to have public access to everything. You can add player secrets. You can keep the character secret from your players, and you can email notifications when you create a character to your players. I only have one so far that we did as a demo. Okay, here's our Dancing Queen, and she will now appear here in non-player characters. If you're new to role-playing, a non-player character is what the GM, the Game Master, those are the characters that the GM runs during the course of the game. Everybody else is run, player characters are run by actual players, so they're in charge of their actions and words. The GM is in charge of everybody else's actions and words. And just as a side note, if you happen to have had a cold, you can do a really good deep evil voice because your throat is raspy. Just pro tip. Use it to your advantage if you have one. What else do we want to change? A couple of updates. Let's see. We wanted to do the Dancing Queen. We got her. We got the Killer Queen. I want to update her, so we want to go to this little edit icon. That's the pencil and the paper. Go down here. By the way, just as a side note, the slug portion here, this is part of what you will use in your wiki entries. When you're writing wiki entries and you want to link to this particular character, you will use this as part of that. This will go on the left half of your entry, and then there'll be a bar, and then on the right half will be the text that you want to appear. And we'll maybe show you some of that later on. So the Killer Queen, we're going to go down here. Dynamite and laser beams are her weapons, according to the song. In case you don't know, there actually are rules for that in, let me show you. If you happen to have a copy of the Dungeon Master's Guide, towards the back, there are rules. Let me find you a page number. On page 268 and thereabouts, there's rules for things like dynamite and laser pistols and laser rifles, antimatter rifles, if you want to use basically alien technology, things that are not in a normal fantasy setting. You do have that option if you have the DMG. So we can put those in later on if we want to. What else did I want to add? Down here in her biography, okay, so the Killer Queen recently took over from the Dancing Queen. It was a coup. It was an unwilling kind of a thing, although relatively bloodless in that the Dancing Queen survived. The Killer Queen, we're going to give her real name. Her real name will be May Mercury, because I thought that was interesting. We're going to go down here. This is her image, by the way. If you want to upload any images, you can do that from this little section over here on the bottom right. She looks just like Marie Antoinette. So there you go. Save. And now we have the updated information. So pretty easy to edit things as we think of them as we go. Yes, you can write character link slugs on the fly if you know them by heart, or you can use the character link insert button in your, be on the right hand side when you do your entries to make it easy. Okay, let's go back to characters. Okay, we've made a little bit of an update there. There's also one other one that I wanted to do, which was our first character entry, the Forces of Gwar. Let's go in and edit them. And I kind of like the name Gwarbarians better. The darkest metal musicians in the realm. Okay, I believe you can also change the slug from here. Let's see if that works. Barbarians. If you get something wrong, Obsidian Portal will let you know so that you can fix it. So these guys, I imagine them to be, they were born in the pits of despair, creatures of unyielding destructive force. Also, they wear amazing costumes. I imagine these guys to be sort of on the outskirts of society, sort of a horde that has not yet been civilized, nor ever will be. Eventually we're going to have to find some cool artwork to go with them, but I can't just take, pictures of people in Gwar. That's, that's cheating. You gotta find something else. Gwarbarians. Cool. Okay, now, and if we go back into edit, make sure. Yeah, okay, it's changed the slug to lowercase, so there we go. That's the slug that you'll use when you make a wiki entry. What you do from your wiki page. Okay, that's all the updates that I wanted to do for now. If anybody in the chat, in the live chat, has a suggestion for funny names at any point, feel free to put them in, and I will try and incorporate them into the campaign as we go. If you're not watching on the live stream, if you end up watching on YouTube, you can put comments down below the video. We'll check them there and add them in later. There's also a way Yep. If you go to, this is the front page, this is what you'll see when you first go to the site. Over here on the right hand side below the fan section, you can click on comments and leave a comment, and then I will get notified of that. So if you're watching this video on demand, not live, and can't get into the chat room to put comments, put it there, and I'll see it, and we'll add it as we go. So that's that. Okay, let's move on to one of the most important parts of any campaign, and that's mapping, in my opinion. You don't have to necessarily have a map for your campaign, but it is really useful. It's also one of the things that when people are browsing campaigns on Obsidian Portal, they often go and look to see if you have a map, because it gives you a nice single image. That's a good way to sort of, I don't know, get an idea about the world without reading every single detail. So we're going to start on some map making today. Where do you get maps? First of all, we're going to do some homebrew maps from scratch, because that's what I like to do. You can find lots of pre-made maps online, out of source books and things like that. You can get maps. You can go to, you can just Google search anything like that. Drive-Through RPG, if you go to their website and search by price, you can look for, free maps or pay what you want maps. Lots of artists, map artists, put their stuff up there. There's also plenty of other things. Let's see if I can show you a couple of the other things that we've looked at. If you go to our blog, which is blog.obsidianportal.com, it's called Words in the Dark. You can look for our tags of maps. We've got a couple of articles in there about mapping. One of the ones I did, when was this? The beginning of this year. I wrote one on 40 magnificent mapping resources. And it goes over lots of different kinds of mapping software. We're not using those today because we're just doing some basic outlining. But there's oodles and oodles. Some of these you pay for. Some of these you are free. You're going to have to look through some of these. Incarnate is a very popular one. MapForge, MapTool, very popular. Some of these do more than just map making. They do other stuff also. Some of these were not intended for role-playing game maps, but you can definitely use them, like RPG Maker. If you need a pixel art style of map, you can do one in there. You can use any kind of spreadsheet program if you just want a really simple grid map with basic colors and stuff like that. Wonder Draft, that's another popular one. There's oodles of online resources. You can just look through this giant list. Reddit has a bunch of things about maps. Whole subreddits dedicated to that, and the sort of the science behind map making too, if you really want to get into that. That is one thing that you don't need a full understanding of how geology and weather patterns work and all that, but it does make things a little more realistic. Here's a really cool one. Whatabou's Medieval Fantasy City Generator. It randomly creates street and building layouts. It's really cool. I think Kalak found that forever ago, like last year. And then we got a little advice for making maps in that particular article. We've also got a follow-up article that's called 27 More Mapping Marvels, because the first one was popular. And this adds a few more suggestions to things about cartography, maps and flags, where to get free and cheap maps and pay maps. Now, if you're using a virtual tabletop, having a good digital map is really handy. We've also got an article called Tuesday Tips, OP Maps, which talks about how to put your maps up on OP. And you can also go to our help section, which will walk you through the process if you don't see it here. We also did I made a little adventure. It's a side quest. It's a little, technically one-page adventure, even though it goes on for more than one page. That's also in the blog. That was a more recent one. This gives you a little one-page adventure, and I did do a little digital map in sort of a cartoony style. This is just in paint.net, which is a free program. But it gives you a little side quest adventure you can do that might be good for low-level characters. Okay, so those are some little resources that we have. When you're ready to do your map, if you already have a map, you go to your Maps section of your Obsidian portal page, click on New Map, and this is where you would add the new map. You would put the name in, you would click here to upload, you can make it public or viewable only to members of your campaign, and you would submit. It gives you instructions here about how big, generally, you should make your maps. There's one thing for Obsidian portal maps, you are going for square. You want a square map, so you may want to crop or add borders as necessary to your map. I use paint.net because it's free and easy. You can use anything. But that's the general idea there. Okay, let's do some map making. I've got a little setup here that I think will work. Let me get it going. And find here it is. Okay, so I've got a new webcam. This is pointed down at a tray with a piece of paper on it. Over here. So we're going to do a technique that I have not used for a game before, but it seemed really cool. I don't remember where I found it or if it has an official name. I'm calling it dump and draw, but it's basically you're dumping dice onto a piece of paper and then drawing to make your map. You can do all kinds of variations. I've seen about 5 or 6 different versions of this. We're going to make up our own version because this is all about homebrew. So let me give you an idea of what we're talking about. Let's do... Okay, we're going to do a dump and draw. So the general idea is if you just need basic outlines of things like continents or an island or whatever, you would take your little cup of dice. These are my custom-made, courtesy of my wife, Group Beta Games dice cups. And basically do this. So that's the general idea. So you would take that spread and then you would draw, let's say, little islands. If this were an island chain or something like that, this would be a good way to do like an archipelago of islands. We're going to dump way more dice than that. Let me collect all of these. And get a few more. So whatever dice you have, doesn't matter. This first technique is just for an outline. So we're going to go for, let's say, a continent-sized kind of a thing. So I'm going to take my bag of dice here and dump. All right. If you can see this all right. It's a pretty decent spread. All right, so if you're just doing, if all you need is a paper map of things, then you've laid down a piece of paper and you're pretty much ready to go. So I'm gonna have to lean over to the side so you lose my face here for a minute while I draw. But basically, you're kind of just picking and choosing areas where you want your outline to be. And sort of drawing in whatever your imagination says looks good. Be a bay right there. And we'll go up that direction. Might have a couple of islands out here since these guys are off to the side a bit. And there you go. So that's the basic idea of the dump and draw method. You're just dumping as many dice as you want onto an area and then drawing, and then you end up with basically an outline of some continents. Now this is on paper, so if you need the digital equivalent, you can scan this in with a scanner. You can take a screenshot with your webcam, which I will take care of later. But otherwise, that one's pretty much ready to start decorating. If you need a quickie map on the fly, this is a great technique for right before game night when you don't have anything prepared. Let's get these guys out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to move this. Get a fresh on here so I can line it up correctly. Alright, so we've got one map. That's the basic idea for the dump and draw method. We're going to jazz it up a little bit and make our own kind of cooler version. So there's a couple different techniques you could do now that we've done just outlining. You can do one that uses the numbers on the dice for elevation, which, let's see here, I think we're going to use a whole big bunch of dice. I've got these in separate cups and bags. So you could do something along the lines of, let's do a little mountain range, just to give you an idea of how this would work. We may end up we'll probably use all these maps in our map section for different things, but right now we're just getting the idea done. Okay, I've got a couple dice here. It's your standard spread of, normal polyhedral dice. And so mountain range, something like that. This will be hard to see for you. I think I'll spread it out here so we can get it to autofocus a little bit better. But basically you could take a look at your dice, see what numbers that you have on the dice, and then use those numbers for elevation. Don't quite have the focus on this that you'll be able to see the numbers, but I can do something else that will help. Let me find my... Here it is. Got an overlay I can put over top of this. Alright. What I've got here is paint.net overlaid on top of the image. So it's kind of lined up, generally speaking. And what we're going to do is get this out of the way. So these will be a little rough. Because I'm drawing with a mouse, and that's just how it goes. Okay, so for your own mountain ranges and elevation and whatnot, you can do this however you like, but in general, you can use the numbers on the dice to indicate how tall your mountains are. So my D4s down here are 1s. That's a 1. And that's a 1. So these will be your lowest elevation mountains. I think Mount Everest is something like 35,000 feet tall. So if you want to use dice and say they're about 1,000 feet of elevation, you could have these mountains be 1,000 feet, and then each number that goes up you could have go up by another 1,000 feet if you need to know elevations of things. See, my D6 up here, it landed on a 6, so it might be a 6,000 foot elevation. My D12 landed on a 1 also, so it's also going to be low. This D10 landed on a 9, so that might be a really tall one. This one landed on an 8. And this guy over here landed on a 9. So in general, if you needed a quick way to do elevations of mountains, you could just throw some dice out. You will end up statistically, depending on which kinds of dice you're throwing, with more low numbers than you will high numbers. So if you wanted to make a little chart and say, let's say a D20 that rolls a 20 is going to be the highest possible mountain that you can have, you can set that at, like I said, I think Mount Everest is like 35,000 feet, something like that. You could set it like that. If it's a fantasy world, you could set it, much higher. Maybe there's just no air up there or something, like 40,000, 45,000 feet, something, and then do a range. Make yourself a little chart. Be kind of cool. So for this particular mountain range, we have 3 really tall mountains, a little short section in the middle there, which might almost be just tall hills, and then another little mountain over here. Of course, you can roll bunches and bunches of dice if you're doing a bigger map, but that's the basic idea of what that is. And then you would take this map, you would go into your favorite mapping program, or maybe image manipulation, clean it up, make it look how you want. Maybe even Photoshop in actual mountains from an actual map somewhere that you can get, and make it look how you want. Realistic, cartoony, whatever you want to do. So that's that one. That's how you do elevation in general. Let's save that guy. And I'm going to get rid of him for a second. Clear that out. Let me reset for the next idea. We're going to do a much bigger map. The next one that we're going to do, I think, is going to be a sort of our kingdom-wide map for our kingdom that we are focused on, the thing that's run currently by the Killer Queen. We don't have a name for it yet. A winding canyon with those ones in the middle of the taller mountains. That's exactly how I saw it too, and we can make it look like that in our image manipulation program. I use all free stuff, shareware, freeware stuff, because I'm cheap. But you use whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so for the next technique, we're going to do a big area. So for this one, we're going to combine the outline technique and some of our elevation techniques. So we're going to roll quite a few dice. So let me get it set up here. So I need, some dice are just going to be for land mass. Let me get rid of this overlay real quick. Hang on. Let's see what we're doing. Okay. So these dice are going to be for land mass. I've got some just small D6s. These are my Shadowrun dice. We're going to use those just for basic land mass. They're going to be sort of the lower flat areas. Then we're going to use, let me find here's some. These are the green dice. The green dice we're going to use for forests. These are going to be sort of the sources of where our forests are going to land. So wherever they show up, we're going to have some wild territory that is forested. We're going to use, let's see, what else do I have here? I got a bag of blue dice. You probably can't see in there, but those are blue. We're going to use those for water sources. Maybe big lakes, things like that. We'll see how they land and see what they look like and decide what we're going to do with them from there. And then on top of that, since we're rolling a bunch of dice anyway, I'm going to put a bunch of these white D6s. For now, I think the white D6s are going to be... we're still kind of in the terrain phase, but I think we can go ahead and make those some kind of sites of interest, maybe settlements or ruined areas or something like that. We'll make those interesting places. We don't have to define it completely yet. But the basic idea now is that we're going to roll all of these all at once onto the paper and see what we get, and see if we like it. So let me... Oops, sorry about that. Let's see if I can dump all these roughly at the same time without making a huge mess. We'll add them together. Don't need that. There we go. That'll be easier. And just kind of dump in the center and see where they go. So it'll be a little tricky for you at home to see what everything is and where it all went. We have the vast majority of our blue dice have ended up here, so I think we'll make this sort of an ocean, inner sea kind of an area. We have a good amount of our forests over here that just landed kind of randomly. So that'll work. So I think what we're looking at here is sort of a coastal spread with some forests running up through the middle and lots of interesting sites right along the coast, and then sort of a big area. So if you were using your dump and draw, just draw on paper method, now you would go in with a marker or a pen or whatever and start drawing outlines of things. We're going to do another overlay. Let me get it set up here. Make sure that we are lined up correctly. So I've got all my edges. It's not a perfect rectangle, but it's pretty close. Okay, so I'm going to start with my outline of my coast. This is a little bit tricky because I'm looking at two different areas. I'm trying to see it on the thing. So we're going to draw a little blue outline, roughly where this stuff is. And it's pretty good there. Okay, so we're going to call this sort of the inner sea area, and then we'll come back up generally this direction. You can kind of get creative with it as you desire. We've got a blue D20 right here, so we'll turn this into sort of a lake. I think we've got a blue percentile die here. We'll turn this into another big lake. We've got another one here. That's a lake, and then we've got a stray one over on this side, which will turn into... Alright, okay, did I miss any blues? I think that might be everybody. Okay, but we got a couple of land masses over here. These become little islands. And we've got one up here that becomes an island. And again, you can change these as you desire later on. Alright, let me get my edges cleaned up, and then I can do, if I've done it correctly, I can fill these in with blue. Okay, so this will be sort of an inner sea kind of an area. Lots of coastal stuff going on. Alright, let's leave those dice where they are. Thanks for the interesting ideas for making maps. Yeah, these are, like I said, I don't know where I saw them originally, but they've been out there for a while. I don't know who invented them specifically, but I'm stealing them, so that's where we're going. Okay, next we've got, let's do our forested areas. These are generally going to be green spaces. Oops, keep that there, hang on. We don't have to define specifically what kind of forest they are yet, because we don't really know what latitude and longitude and all that we're at. So I'm going to look around for the clumps of green dice. Looks like we've got a big one here. So let's make all of this one of our larger forests. And there's that, and then we've got a D4 over here, so we'll turn him into a forest. And then we've got a D20 and another D4. So we've got some forested areas. I think that's all of my green dice so far. Then we can color these in. So you can see them better on the stream. Let's see, what do we have next? So we've got our all of our purple and red D6s are small ones. I'm going to use those as general elevation markers. We're going to turn them into hills and mountains. Whoops, I keep doing that. So hills and mountains. Since we're going on a scale of 1 to 6, I'm going to say that 1, 2, 3 are hills and 4, 5, 6 are mountains. So we're going to do brown hills to make it easy. You guys probably can't see too well on here, but I'll do my best to indicate where the hills will be. This is the rough outline, which we will clean up later on. We get some hills down here. Some hills down here. You can turn these into little chains. Hills and mountains tend to be in like lines and clumps because it's sort of like the earth folding a little bit. Those are all mountains. And there's some up here. Got 4 there. What's this guy in the middle? He's a 3. I think that's right. Yep. So he's a hill. A couple of hills there. And then over on the coast, we've got. This guy's a 2. It's hard to see with the glare. We have a 3 here, so we've got some hills. And another 3 here. Let's make this all hills in that area. Okay, I think that's all of my hills. Now we'll do some mountains. We're going to make the mountains dark gray, so they stand out a little. Okay, this is a 5, so I'll make him kind of a bigger one. Yeah, there's lots of variations you can do with this technique. You could do, if you're using like a hex kind of a map, whenever something lands in the hex, like this 5, you could say, okay, that hex is now mountains, and then 4 other ones around it, so that there's 5 total hexes become mountains. You could use that kind of a technique if you wanted to. There's some mountains here. You can do these as elevation markers. I'm not too worried about it right now, but you could do, you know, your 6s are higher than your 5s, that sort of thing. Your 4s are lower than your 5s. Kind of whatever you want to do. I think doing a couple versions and then picking the one that looks best to you is probably a good idea. Oops, that's in the way. So this technique will not produce, for those of you who are, let's say, really into geological sciences, will not produce something that is very realistic, but you can justify some of it after the fact by just applying a little bit of logic. Like, for example, you've got sort of a mountain range, ridge coming up through this area. You could say that maybe glaciers came down in the ice age and sort of carved this low spot with this inner sea. Got some mountains up here. And a couple here. Maybe a lonely one there. Little guy here. Okay, and I think that's all my colorful D6s. Okay, now we're going to do interesting sights. Right now I'm going to mark these with a nice do just a red color. Let's get a nice big dot. That's pretty big. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not missing any. Most of these sites, we'll just put on the map for now, and then we'll decide what they are in a minute. If you came up with something ahead of time, you could say all the ones were towns, and all the twos were cities, and all the threes were some sort of ruin or something like that. I think that's most of them. So I got 4, 3 in the middle, 3 and 1 of 1. Okay, those are our interesting sites for right now. All right, here's a good start. Okay, so let's look at the map. Let me see if I can bring this up full power. Filters. There we go. Close. All right. I assume you can see that pretty well. All right. Here's our full power map. So we've got a general idea just based on the logic of what this kind of looks like. Do I ever use map making programs? I have not experimented greatly with them. I've looked at a few, and I'm thinking about trying some out on this stream later on as we go. I just haven't had time yet, but I might do some Incarnate or something like that. If anybody has any recommendations for stuff that they like that's super easy, feel free to put them in the chat. But I have not yet. The only thing I do is I use a program called GIMP. So is it graphical image manipulation program? It's the free version of Photoshop. I have used that before, but just for sort of basic stuff. Otherwise, I use paint.net for most of my cartoony kind of graphics, including the group beta comics. Okay, so what I'm looking at here, we've got our inner sea, we've got a couple of islands, we've got a couple of big lakes, we've got forests, we've got hills, we've got a couple of clumps of mountains, and kind of a range down here in the southeast. A lot of these sites are in the center of this area for interest. So I'm going to assume that this was at one point, if these are not already cities, then maybe they were at one point in the past. So we've got our little centralized area. I think this might be a good spot for our sort of main region that we're going to be gaming in. Eventually we will need a name for that is musically pun oriented. So where do you go from here? Rivers would be a good one. So rivers logically go from high places to low places. They tend to drain into lakes and seas and oceans. So let's draw some rivers next. Just kind of logically where they would be. You can use your dice if you want to for rivers, and again use the technique from before, which wherever your dice land, you can make the river. If you roll like a 9 or something like that on a die, you could say there's a river that goes 9 grid spaces or hexes away from that if you're using that. Since we're doing a freehand map, I'm just going to do some freehand rivers. So let's get some blue on here and a smaller brush. I'll start over here on the left of this mountain. Rivers tend to be kind of windy as they cut through the landscape. There are lots of online resources if you're interested in learning about sort of the operations of rivers, what makes them do what they do. I won't get into that right now because we're just making a fun little map, but generally speaking, most of these rivers are going to go from the high elevations where the mountains are down to the lower elevations where this inland sea is. Let's split this one up just for fun. These are going to be your main rivers. In a real environment, when you zoom in much more, there will be much, much smaller waterways all over the place. We have these guys drain into this one. This guy drains here. Oops, can't do that. And these guys will drain over here. Maybe this guy goes here. That's pretty good. Okay, for this map, I think that's a good start. All right, what are we going to do with our sites of interest is the next question. Actually, if we go to our Dungeon Master's Guide once more, if you have one of these, that's awesome. You don't necessarily need it to run a game of 5th Ed D&D. You can get by probably with just the players, PDF, or actual book. We're going to look. They have oodles of rules about making worlds in the DMG at the beginning, about scale and settlements and things like that. We'll be using those as we go sometimes. But I'm looking for what you do. Okay, here's one. In the DMG, they have a section in Chapter 5. This starts on page 108. It's talking about mapping a wilderness. It's right after the how you map a dungeon section. It talks about movement on the map and how to narrate it and things like that. If you have hexes or grids or whatever, how to do scale. But we're interested primarily in their wilderness features section on page 108. No wilderness map is complete without a few settlements, stronghold, ruins, and other sites worthy of discovery. So we're going to use one of theirs and start to populate this map with some interesting stuff. So they've got monster layers as an idea. They've got monuments. This is places where civilizations left some of their leftovers behind. Ruins, settlements, strongholds, weird locales. Examples include things like haunted hill or barrow mound, forest of petrified or awakened trees. That's some of your more magical, interesting stuff. So I've got some ideas in the DMG. We're going to use a couple of those for now, and we're going to roll randomly, I think. Let's see. They've got these set up in D20 rolls. So let me get a D20 here on our map. My first roll is a 7. 7 is a ruined or toppled obelisk. So we're going to switch over here to some text. And I'm going to pick one of these. Let's say this guy here. Let's see if I can type and hold the book at the same time. Fallen obelisk. Alright, that's a good one for there. Let's roll a couple more times. We got an 11 and a 3, which translate into a ruined statue of a person or deity and faces carved into a mountainside or cliff. Those are good ideas. So let's do okay, so the faces next to a cliff, those need to be near enough to a high place, so I think we'll make that this guy up here, I think. So let's see, carved faces. And the statue to a deity, I think we'll put that out here in the middle of nowhere. Deity statue. Oh, it's a ruined deity statue, so. But that gives you a basic idea of what you can do with your interesting sites. I would recommend coming up with your own list of cool stuff that you want in your world, fleshing out some of the stuff that they have maybe in the DMG, and making it kind of your own thing, because I think that's more interesting. But if you're making a campaign on the quick, leave some of these for later. Just mark them for now. Don't bother spending time on them if you don't have the time to spend. Wait until you know your players are going there, maybe, and then decide what's going to be there. Yep, pretty fast. Thanks for the compliment. Pretty fast and interesting way to do maps. It's sort of a quickie way to do it. It's not pretty yet, but I will make it pretty off stream. It's kind of tedious work doing that kind of thing. And later on, if I get into some mapping software, I might take this map and use the mapping software and try and make a cool version that way, because some of those things you could do like parchment effects and cool like compass rose things and stuff like that. But anyway, this is one of our maps. We're going to use this one as our region. Actually, I want to put a little bit of color into some of it now. How about this color here? It's not perfect, but I'll add to it later on. Not too worried about it right now. Get the general idea. Okay. So that's that. It's a pretty good map for now, I think, as a placeholder, so we get the idea of the region that we're working in. So our kingdom is not going to be a coastal kingdom necessarily, but it will have an inland sea, so we will have some of the benefits of having a kingdom on the coast without some of the sea travel. Maybe the actual sea is up to the north of us. We can zoom out later on and make the rest of the world map down the road if we need it. But we're focused right now on what's going on in this particular kingdom and what's going to happen next with our adventurers. So let's see, we've saved. Let me double check and make sure we've saved. I'm going to take this map and I'm going to put it up on Obsidian Portal for right now. So let me put this away for the moment. And let me put this other thing away for the moment. Okay. Now, I'm going to go into a folder here real quick and give that map a name. We're going to call it Kingdom Map. We don't have a name for the kingdom yet, but we will eventually. Sometimes the best titles come later on. Alright, so we're going to our on Obsidian Portal on your menu over here on the left hand side down at the bottom is map. Again, we go to new map. We're going to come in here and we're going to upload a map. So I want this kingdom map. Again, we're looking for a square map. This one is 0.1 megabytes, so it's under a 5 megabyte limit for maps. And it's significantly smaller than it needs to be because it's a placeholder. Later on when I do the cool fancy map, we'll make a bigger file so you can zoom in a little bit more and stuff like that. Okay, so we're all checked. Everything's good to go. It is going to be public. We're going to submit it. It may take... No, we need a name. Kingdom map. Yeah, if you ever forget something that's required, OP will let you know. Okay, so our map is now uploaded. Sometimes it takes it 30 seconds or so to upload, but this is a fairly small one, so we're good to go. Okay, we're going to look at it's going to take a minute. Yeah, it's still loading. Your map is being processed and will be fully available in a few minutes. So Obsidian Portal takes your map, splits it up into tiles so that you can zoom in and out, so it takes a little time to process. So while we're waiting on that, let's go into our wiki, and we're going to create an entry for the kingdom itself. We need a good name for our kingdom. So if anybody has any suggestions, I'm going to get out my trusty, I don't know if you can see this, old school paper thesaurus, and we're going to look around for some, this is the pun maker's Bible, essentially, the thesaurus. I'm going to look for names, let's see, music and musicians, and we're going to look for punny names. Harmony, choral, anthem, calypso, that's kind of cool. Canticle, that's kind of neat. Dirge, hymn, nocturne, we might use that one later on for something kind of dark, kingdom. Octet, sonata, that's kind of cool. There's things for musicians too, we might use those for some of the class things. How about, let's see, some of these are kind of inspiring. Let's think about instruments too. How about calliope? I always like calliope, it's kind of a weird musical instrument. Let's call it the Kingdom of Calliope for now. We can change that later if we come up with something better. But I think that's a pretty good start. Put my thesaurus away. So we're going to call our, so we're going to edit. We're editing our main page here. Again, this is the format for what your wiki links will look like for creating a new page, and it gives you instructions when you first start up to create a new page. You surround it with double square brackets. When you save the page, the link shows up, you click on the link, and then you get to the thing. So we've already got some character creation rules, we've also already got some loose notes. I want to make sure that this is up towards the top, so we're going to do double brackets, the Kingdom of Calliope. I think I have spelled that correctly. Yeah, see, there's a spell checker built in, so you're good to go. Kingdom of Calliope. That looks good for now. Going to go down here to the bottom and save. And okay, here's our new link. There's nothing in it yet, so it comes up as a different color. So we click on it, it creates our new wiki page, the Kingdom of Calliope. We can add tags if we want to. I'm going to put this as Kingdom and hit tab to enter it. If you want the tag to go away, you click the little X next to it and it goes away. Okay, Kingdom of Calliope. We know from our map currently that it is adjacent to an inner sea. So let's put that in our little description here. A kingdom ruled by, and we want to do our character link. Here's our character link, so we'll give you your list of characters that you've made. You can view them from here. You can insert. We want to insert the Killer Queen. That's what that looks like. The kingdom ruled by the Killer Queen near an inland sea. Okay, for your when you get good at writing these, you'll be able to do these in your sleep. But this is basically what your wiki linking system is all about. You do double square brackets, you get a wiki link. On the left hand side, you have a colon, and then the slug. This is the sort of the code that takes you to the thing. You have a single line. I believe on most keyboards, this is you press Shift and hit the button that's sort of above your Enter key on many keyboards. It gives you your line in the middle, spaces on either side of that, and then the text that you want to appear in the actual entry. So if we wanted to do this as something different, we could do a mysterious new ruler. You could, and then come down here to preview, and this is what it will look like. It'll give you the link that will take you to, you can't see it, but it's the Killer Queen. Go away, preview, and then go down here. Auto outlining, by the way, is a little table of contents thing that appears on the side. I'm gonna use it so I can show you. So here you go. All right, so this is our new wiki entry, the Kingdom of Calliope. We'll fill this up later on with all kinds of stuff and other wiki links. We've got our tags here. Kingdom ruled by a mysterious new ruler near an inland sea. And then you can click and it'll take you to the Killer Queen. So that's how you do your wiki linking. It's pretty easy. All right, let's check on our map. Let's pull it up, and there it is. Okay. So we've got some zooming options. This particular map is, you can zoom way out if you want. This is about how far in you can get. You can customize this to get your text just right. And then pull back out. Oops, sorry, I'm having trouble navigating because I'm pressing the wrong thing. And then we can zoom in and look at things. So when you get good at making maps, you'll be able to, you'll have all this stuff sort of laid out correctly so that you can do that. We'll work on that a little bit later on, but that's the basic idea. You got your map to look at now. And I think for free accounts, you can get, I think, 2 maps, which is enough to run a game. And then when you're finished with your map, if you need to put up another one, you take one of your maps down and put up a new one. For paid accounts, you get more access to more maps, put more of them up there, more campaigns. So that's a good advantage of having Ascendant accounts and whatnot, or Adventure. All right, so we got our map. We got the basics of our map. We're going to do some more maps as we go. I also want to do a map for our starting area. And what I was thinking about was basically we'll sort of pick, it doesn't really matter where it is in this area yet, but we'll make a little map that sort of covers our starting town. I was thinking about doing. So we could, if I can find it really quickly, we could let's see, I don't remember if it was in this one or it might be here. Yeah, this is the one I was talking about earlier. This is your, this is Whatabal's medieval fantasy city generator. So we want a small town. So you can set your size. It generates a random medieval city layout of a requested size. It's arbitrary, produces a decent looking map, but not necessarily an accurate model of a city. but it'll give you things that look kind of like this, and then you can toggle on and off the different things. So this is kind of a cool little map making thing that you could use if you wanted to generate a little town. So I think we're going to use it and then get a general idea of what we want to do here. Oh, that's all of that. So I think, oh yeah, you just get onto it. It does have, you do small, medium, and large. You've got some options for style. You can do different palettes. You can do an ink or a black and white, nighttime, blueprint, sanguine. Is that how you say that? Sanguine? Yeah. Ancient. I think that's kind of cool. Color. You can do hatching, thin lines. Turn those off. Actually, kind of like that look. Towers, buildings, and water. What about layout? You can do roads, do like extra roads. Like farm fields, you have some elevation or no elevation. I don't think there's much in this. You've got a citadel, plaza, temple, all that kind of stuff. I think is for the larger kind of things. And it's got little name things for you. It's kind of a cool little map making thing. It gives you a randomly generated name for the little town. So we can use something like this as an idea generator and then make our own map later down the road. And then it's got an export feature, which I haven't tried before, PNG or an SVG. So that should work. And then there's a warp function, which basically you grab stuff in the map and can kind of move it around, and it will adjust a little bit for you. It's not super perfect, but it's handy. And you can apply. So that's kind of cool. You could use that if you wanted to. I think what we'll do is maybe that's kind of neat. Yeah, I want to do one that has, there's one on the coast. We do have some coastal territory. So this one's not bad. Maybe a little walled town next to our inland sea. It's got a harbor, market, castle ward, things like that. So it's kind of neat. Yeah, I think we'll use this one. Alright, let's see how the exporting feature works. We got a PNG. I'll save it. Paste it here. And we're going to call this starter town. Okay. Let's see here. All right. That looks good. Let's go to our maps. See if we can get this guy uploaded. Click here to upload. Starter town. Now this one, I don't think this was necessarily a perfectly square map, so it may get squished a little bit. Let's find out. Starter town. Unless we can come up with a better name for that. We do need a line of border keeps. You are correct. Thanks for the links too, also to the mod. Let's stick with starter town for now. Processing. Okay, now starter town's there. It'll take a minute to process and do tiles. So we'll come to that. And that's basically that. So, generally speaking, for our first adventure, while we're waiting for that to go through, we're going to be using the adventure log when we start writing our first adventure. We'll go over this more in the next episode for how to do first adventures and plot line and stuff like that, because we're well into the story phase now. I think we're about ready to go on the big part of the story. But basically, we're going to be using the adventure log as normally you would use it during your OP campaigns to record adventures that you played. We're going to use it to put the adventures that we're intending to run for our group. So we will design them in such a way that they are easy to read and have all the appropriate links to the pages that you need to get to on Live for Your Die Bard site. But we'll be doing that next time. But basically, you create a new post. You can edit this first one if you want to, and it'll appear here. And it's pretty similar to what you've seen before in terms of that. Okay, for our starter town, let's see if our map is clickable yet. Nope, still being processed. Still going to take a second. It's got to turn it into tiles. I think it turns it into, I don't remember if it's 9 tiles or 16 tiles or whatever, but I think it's got to do different tiles for each one. So it turns whatever map that you put into it into multiple tiles of things, so it takes a second. What else can we look at? Oh, we need more item ideas. We've got the 1 sitar so far. For those of you who weren't here for episode 1, I think that's what we did early on. It belongs to the Loot Fox hero. He's got stars in his eyes. And we know it has lightning powers. But it is more of an Excalibur in-game kind of an artifact. We need items and ideas for cool instruments that the adventuring party can find along their journeys. I recommend, if you have a chance, to look through any of the books and find some current magical musical instruments, and if you want to rename them, it'd be a good idea. Please feel free to comment in the live chat and YouTube comments next week when this gets posted, in the comments for the Live for Your Die Bard site itself. For those of you who have joined us in the chat and did not see at the beginning, I'll put up the link to that. This is where you go if you want to follow along or read what we've been up to. liveforyourdiebard.obsidianportal.com. Everything should be public, easy to view, so that you can follow along, see what we're doing. You can use any of this stuff in your own adventures. Feel free to steal away. All the best artists do. Alright, let me go back to, see if our map is ready. It's cooked. No. Still taking a while. My cartoony one didn't take long at all because it's super simple, but this actually looks pretty good, so it's going to take a little bit longer. Alright, yes, what you can see when you go to the site will be the front page, the adventure log, the wiki, the characters, the items, and the maps. And then what you have access to as a GM, if you make your own account, you have a dashboard which gives you all of the updates that you've done, any events you've got planned, just a different level of stuff. Gives you your forum and your adventure log posts. What the GM can see, GM and players have access to a forum. We haven't made any posts yet here because we don't have anything to post about yet. But that's if you are a play-by-post kind of a player. This is a good spot for that. You can discuss in-game and out-of-game stuff going on. You could run your game from here if you really wanted to. We've also had a recent update. You can check it out on the blog about a new dice rolling option that's in beta, where you can type into your forum some dice commands and get some uncheatable dice results from that. There's also a calendar if you so desire and need a calendar to set up your gaming schedule, your online games, your streams, whatever. You can use this as an in-game calendar if you really want to. If you don't mind using, months and all that we have. There's a media library where you can store your files. 128 megabytes is your maximum upload size for a file. And then it's got a little count for how much storage space you have depending on what account you have. And then you got a settings thing down here, which is all your advanced settings. This is how you set your game system and your when we're ready to play, campaign status. You can get on here and be playing on hiatus completed, whatever. You can set this to public or private if you have a paid account. You got all your taglines, etc., etc. Invited players, where you're playing. You could set your style if you want to change your background and do all of your advanced cool settings and play around with that. It's pretty cool. But this is the page that your visitors will see when they visit the site. We will eventually decorate this with some cool images and stuff like that. And if anybody has, what we need for the doors. Megadeth the battle axe. I like that too. We can probably let's throw that in there right now. If I put it in right as I think about it, or right as you think about it. Megadeth. Then I won't forget. Stats plus another crunch. Battle axe. Plus 3. Megadeth. Old school. Brutal weapon. From a forgotten age. That sounds good. Create. Yep, thanks for the suggestions. Line of border keeps, collectively known as the doors, would be very good. Clever. We do need a spot for some of our places, don't we? So we get some loose notes on places. So eventually we are going to have sort of an atlas area in our wiki that links to all of the spots on the map. So yeah, let's put that in here. Oops, too far. Okay. Places. The doors. A series of fortified border keeps. That will work. We'll find spots for those when we decide where the neighboring kingdoms are. I'm thinking for a kingdom map. Let's take a look here. So if this is generally where our kingdom is, then we could have something up here with some border keeps maybe along this river. Maybe down here, covering the section that's easy to cross. This pass before you get to the mountains, which are difficult to cross, or maybe the border keeps themselves go up into the mountains to protect the southern flank from the Guarbarians, which we talked about earlier in the stream. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe all the guys who man the doors are like really mellow and angsty, and they hate wearing shirts, and they grow their hair long. They don't live very long, sorry, but it's the nature of the job. Alright, let's see if our starter town is loaded. Yep, we've given it time now. Alright, let's back out. Alright, this is a good setup. I will manipulate perhaps this map somewhat as we need to. Yeah, you drag the map with your left mouse button. So this little starter town, it's on the edge of a body of water, so we could put it next to a lake or next to the inland sea. So I'm thinking, yeah, let me pull this up and we'll just go ahead and place it right now and then update our map. Let me find my, where's it? Okay. I'm thinking maybe somewhere in this area. Because there's no rivers on our little map, so we don't want to put it right next to a river, but down here it's sort of centralized. Got a lot of different kinds of terrain nearby. So yeah, I think we'll make that our starter town. So we need, let's see, what color can we make this? I'm going to make a shape, circle, small brush width. Do a little circle like that. And then I'll zoom in. And we'll color it in with, let's say, yellow. That'll work. Okay. And now we've got our starter town. Black lettering. Alright, so this is going to be our little area where we start. We don't have a plan yet for what's going to be exactly in this town, but we've got a little bit of a layout. We can start thinking about who's going to live there, what the town does, what they're all about. So that's a good spot right there. Save that. And I'm going to re-upload this map onto OP. I'm still learning the ins and outs of streaming. Alright, so I want to update my kingdom map, so I'm going to go to my edit button. And I want to, I think, drop files here to upload. Yeah, I think I did this one. I think it will just overwrite. Processing. So another thing you can do from the map editing menu, which I'll show you in a minute, is map markers. Map markers are little icons that you can add to a map. Yeah, it's going to take a second to process, but I'll show you on the other map. Back out a little bit. So for starter town, so you go to edit, you add map markers, and we've got a bunch of different kinds of map markers that you can add. These are sort of the simple ones. We have a new set that just got added called Disasters. You have a crevasse, you have a tornado, a volcano, nuclear explosion, and a meteor asteroid strike. You can also set these in different colors, by the way. There's a color selector you can choose, and then they will pop up as whatever color you need them to be. The default, I think, is black, or your palette colors are based on the campaign style you set in your OP campaign settings. There's some general markers. These were, let's see, you got a crossroads, signposts, gate, swords, keys, little Stonehenge guy, a tower. There's a cavern thing, little village. So we could have used the little village map marker if we wanted to, for our little section. Forge might be good. We can use that for the town. Let's put that in here. Okay, so let's. So this is your title and marker text you could put in. You could do. Let's do Iron Man's smithy. I'm trying to remember the song. Are there any puns we can pull out of the song? Some say he has traveled, one L, through time and lost his mind. That's good for now. Save. Then that appears there. And we can select this and put it. What's a good spot for a smithy? Probably. Here's good for now. You can set them here. And then this will give you a little link. And you can put wiki links and stuff like that in there and edit it. But that's your little smithy. And I think, yeah. Iron Man smithy. So it'll do a little pop-up when you hover over it. That's the basic idea there. Then you're going to want to save once you get your map marker where you want it. And it'll pop it in here. And there he sits. That's where our smithy is. So there's a bunch of different map markers you can do. Looks like this. Yep, that's still. Nope, it worked. Okay. So there's our little update that we did to our map with our starter town there, which we will probably rename once we come up with something really funny. I'm glad this is scratching your inner dungeon master itch. Not a ninja. Totally stealthy. That's sort of the idea. We're building it from the ground up, kind of showing you my process at the very least. And if you are brand new to GMing, or if you've done it a bunch of times, hopefully you'll find something in the series that will be at least inspiring, if not actually helpful to you. Okay, so we've got a decent starter map. We've got some ideas to think about. I'm going to percolate on what else we want in our kingdom, but I think this little circle generally right here is going to be what we want to focus on in terms of what we're doing. The starter town itself is where we're going to have our characters meet for Adventure 1, which we will probably start writing maybe next time. Basically, they're going to be well, not totally restricted, but we want them to be doing stuff in this general vicinity for probably the first couple of games, if not the first couple of levels, before they start getting crazy and adventuring out and doing other stuff in the area. We'll have to decide eventually where our capital is going to be. We'll flesh out the map a little bit more, maybe make some regional maps of the different areas within the kingdom. We might do some maps of some of the neighboring kingdoms if they're going to be influential. We'll probably do a world map eventually if we need it. But there's two philosophies of building games. One is outside in and one is inside out. The outside-in one is the one where you start with your game world on a sort of cosmic scale. You're thinking about planets in the solar system, you're thinking about what the world looks like, and you build details and work your way down to the smallest things that you need. That one takes a little bit longer, but it is extremely detailed. You'll end up with a world like Tolkien-esque, where it's just full, rich, full of stuff, but it does take longer. The inside-out method is where you start with your sort of starter towns, your first areas, and then you build out as you need them. This has advantages in that you can start gaming faster. You don't need to build the whole world necessarily before you start running the game. You could focus all of your creative energies on little areas like this little section right here. But the disadvantage then is that you don't have any wider lore yet. That you'll have to add that as you go. So that's a little trickier too. So pluses and minuses both ways. Do them both. Try them out. See what works for you. See what you like best. That's the only way to know. All right. Do we want to add any map markers to this guy? Let's see. What other map markers we have? Monuments. We don't need these yet. We've got a handful. These are from the old school days. We've got a set of numbers if you need numbers, which would be useful, especially on adventure maps, dungeon maps, and stuff like that. We have those. There's a space set for those of you who want space stuff. But generally, I don't think we need too much of anything right now. We will have more map markers coming out for Obsidian Portal in the near future. I won't give away what they are, but secretly I know because I work on them. So, yeah. So if we wanted to use, let's say, this little starter town icon, this little village icon, we could. I'm gonna, excuse me, make him yellow. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, it's kind of bright. Let's tone that down. Let's do kind of a gold color, maybe. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Let's do that one. Okay, so if you wanted to, if you don't want to put the actual places on the map, starter town, a place of meetings, first time meetings, and new adventures. We can make that more interesting later on as we think of stuff. Save that one, and then zoom in and stick it here, and then save it. And if you zoom out, it appears there. Start a town, you can click on it, access whatever links that you want to put in there, information, edit it from there. Easy. Okay, that's pretty good. That's a good start for our maps. In terms of mapping techniques, the drop and draw dice techniques, you can get really advanced. We'll probably do that again now that I have a webcam where I can actually film it and do that. You could do that for dungeons and cave systems if you want to. It'll give you a nice organic, random sort of pattern. I'll try and write some of them up and put them in the wiki notes so that you guys have access to the actual technique if you want to use it yourself. I'll put those in somewhere. I might split this up into sections where there's game making stuff and then finished stuff. At some point it needs a little cleanup. But there's tons of stuff you can do that. You can look for things online about how to do those kind of things. You can make up your own. It's pretty easy. If you don't want to go random, you can really put some thought into things. We'll make some maps later on that are like that too, where there's especially adventure maps where we really need to think about the step by step of where we want people to go and in what order and what our boundaries are. It'd be cool if the region map allowed you to add sub-maps for towns, so when you zoom in it switches. Don't know if Google Maps API allows that. Yeah, it's tricky because we're limited by the Google Maps API. What you could do though is link, put a wiki link in or something like that, and link to other pages in your thing. That'd be a neat feature. You can go onto our forums and suggest such features. I'll show you how to do that. Up here in the top bar in quick links, next to the little dice roller, if you have access to that with a paid account, you can go down to forums, click on the forums, and it will send you to our forums where you can do feature requests down at the bottom. Start your own little feature requests. There's lots of them in there. Keep a big giant list and then knock them out as they can get to them. Also, you can, from here, you can get to the help section of the blog, get support. So that's where we are right now. That's a pretty good start for today. We've gotten through a good bit. I'll do a little bit off of stream in terms of cleanup work, all the tedious stuff that's kind of boring to sit through. But I think next time we'll start to get into writing some of the meta plot, and then also some of maybe how we want our first adventure to go. We can talk about a session 0, which is where you have your players meet up ahead of time, maybe do character creation, stuff like that. It's sort of getting everybody on the same page so they know what's going on before you actually start playing. It's a really good technique if you've got time for it to do a session 0, especially for brand new players who need to get comfortable with the idea. But we're getting there. It's good progress. What else can we do here? Let's go over what else is going on. I mentioned earlier, if you missed it before, we do have a new YouTube channel, Obsidian Portal YouTube, where this particular stream will eventually go in about a week. YouTube will be about a week behind, so if you're on Twitch, you get things about a week ahead of when everybody else does. We are at affiliate levels right now. We should be unlocking the ability to subscribe to the Obsidian Portal Twitch page very shortly, and we would very much appreciate your support when that goes up. If you could give us some support, those of you who can, if you've got one of those freebie subscriptions from linking your Amazon Prime account to Twitch, that would be awesome. Yeah, thanks for the link there from the mod. Yeah, we really do need your support though. Going to Obsidian Portal itself, making your own account. If you can, if you'd like to upgrade and have an Ascended account like I do, it's pretty easy and get access to lots of features, and very importantly, you help support many creators and who are making games just like we are on this stream. Let me put up the link to, here it is, liveforyourdiebard.obsidianportal.com if you want to check out the campaign page as we create stuff. You can see it all there. Hopefully by the end of the series we will have an entire campaign world as well as a series of adventures for a musical party who wear goofy hats. I think that should be a requirement. And but we'll get into that next time about what kind of a party that we're going to think about having and recommending, and how you're going to deal with that as a GM writing adventures for a group that you don't know who they are. It's good GM skills to have, being able to adapt, things like that. So that's how you can support us. Check out all of our social media to stay updated on all of our schedules and things like that. We're going to try and get a cool schedule thing up onto when we're not streaming onto our Twitch page so that you can see all of the different streams we've got going on. There's a lot. There's my stream, which is Thursdays at 11 in the morning Eastern Time, which is GMT -4. We've got Kalak's stream, or I'm calling it Kalak Hacks, because he does a lot of coding work. He's finishing up building Pathfinder 2nd Edition character sheet with a dynamic sheet template and showing you how to do it. And then once that's published, he's going to move on and show you how to customize some of your web pages on Obsidian Portal so you can go beyond what all this stuff is and do some really cool work in that area. It's neat stuff. I'm excited about watching that one too. We've got, let's see, T-Bug and the Dice Friends. We host them on Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Kalak's stream is, before I forget, at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. T-Bug, Dice Friends, Loading Ready Run gets hosted at 8 p.m. on Monday nights Eastern Time. Who else have we got? We've got, if you check out our social media and our newsletter, if you got the newsletter, you'll know about some of the other streams that are either starting up or getting ready to start up. We've got some mid-September here, getting ready to go. So keep an eye out on our schedule for those. We'll let you know when they're about to start up. Again, once we go to full affiliate status, if you would like to follow and get notifications and subscribe to us, we would really appreciate that. Thanks a lot for all of your time. I think that was about it. And hope you enjoyed it. See you next week, certainly, if you want to follow along and write some adventures. All right. Thanks.